I was so freaked out because I was like, okay, what's happening now? Like, what's the problem? Because then, as much as I had been sick for quite a while by then, it was like, okay, something is now totally wrong. Hey lovelies, welcome to another video. If you're here for the first time, hello, my name is Hildah Anyango and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today's video is a story time. I already tried filming this video before and let's just say it did not end well. So let's hope for the best today. This is a story of everything that happened during the time I had H. pylori, and let me just put this out there. I am not a doctor, I am not a medical student, I barely know much about medicine and all that. So if you know someone who is suffering from H. pylori or you are experiencing the same, yes, I'd advise you to seek advice from a trained medical practitioner. This is not a medical advice video. It is just me telling my experiences with the same. So it all started during the time I was supposed to attend a friend's graduation party, which was on a Saturday, and it was out of Nairobi. It was quite far. So we traveled during the day, and of course I had something to eat in the morning, just a light breakfast because I was running late. And during the whole trip I was so uncomfortable. I was feeling sick and I was just feeling so much pain in my stomach, and I thought I was hungry. Maybe I'm just hungry. So we arrived and it took a while before we had something to eat because of course there was the ceremony and all that stuff. So I was feeling so uncomfortable. I was feeling so sick. And then of course there was a lot to, after the ceremony there was a lot to eat, so I had a lot to eat and I was like, okay, I think I feel much better now. And I even joined in the dancing and all that stuff. So after that I was still feeling some pain, but then it wasn't as much as before, so I thought, okay, maybe I was just hungry. So we went back to Nairobi and we arrived quite late because it's quite a distance from where we were to Nairobi. We arrived quite late, and then by then it was like so late. So I was like, okay, I'll just go to bed because since we ate a very late lunch, I was like, I don't really feel like eating. And as much as I feel some pain, I'm not really like hungry or like something like that. So I just went to bed and I was like, okay, the next morning I'll just go find something to eat and that it will be okay. So the next day, which was on a Sunday, I was supposed to go out with my friends for some outing in some place also in the outskirts of the city. So of course I woke up, I was still feeling quite unwell, but then being that I traveled the day before, I was like, maybe I'm just tired or hungry or something like that. So of course for we went to some park. Is it a park? Is it really a park? It's a garden or something. It was a picnic. We were supposed to go for a picnic, so we went there. Yeah, we were supposed to go for a lot of things. We were supposed to go for a picnic, a horse ride or something, or a hike. I don't really remember what we were going to do. Anyway, we were going there. So we went to this garden. We were supposed to go for like a hike or a nature walk or something. And we stayed there for a while. We got there, we stayed there for a while. And during this whole time, I had nothing to eat. So I was feeling some pains in my stomach. I was feeling quite sick. But then being that I traveled the day before and I hadn't eaten, I was like, okay, maybe it's just hunger or tired. I'm just tired or something like that. So we stayed there up to around 6. The first meal I had was at 6 p.m. And then of course I ate and I felt relieved kinda. But then I could still feel I was in pain, but I didn't know what it was. We went back to the house with my friends and we stayed there for the night. We had something to eat. Again, I was still in so much pain. I was like, okay, something is definitely wrong because I've eaten, but it seems like this is no longer something to do with me being hungry. So of course the next morning I woke up and I think that my friends know a little bit about medicine. I can't even remember the name of the drug they advised me to get, and I went to the pharmacy and I told the guy, what was happening, and of course he also advised me to get that. So I got the medicine, and I was like, okay, now this should work. Because personally, for me, before I have to go to the doctor, it has to be like very bad because I'm not really comfortable going to the hospitals. It's not that I don't trust hospitals, I'm just scared of hospitals and injections and all that. So I was like, okay, now that I have the medicine, I should feel much better. So I started taking the medicine, I think on from Monday. I took the medicine Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and still nothing. At some point it was like I would be like feeling not very bad, like I'd be like not so bad, like I could even like relax and get my mind off the idea that I was in pain for a moment, and then I'd take the medicine and all of a sudden I'd be in this so much pain, and I was like, okay, it seems like the medicine is also not working at this point. So I was like, okay, now it's time for me to go to the hospital. So I'd much rather go to the student clinic in school than another hospital, because as I've mentioned, I'm scared of hospitals. So I chose to go to the student clinic at school rather than to a hospital. I think I went to the students clinic on a Thursday, and I think Friday was supposed to be like a holiday. I'm not sure. I think either no. I think I went there on Friday, and then the weekend, then Monday was supposed to be a holiday. So of course I went there around evening, like around 4. It actually rained. So I reached there, and the doctor wrote for me some, it gave me a lab request for the test I was supposed to undergo. So I went to the lab, and just getting there, they were like, okay, we are closed. It's already past time, and we are not opening on Saturday and Sunday, and Monday is a holiday. So you have to come back Tuesday morning. And then I was just like, what? Okay, like how am I supposed to stay all those days without knowing what is happening? Because at this point I was like, okay, what's happening? But then I saw the lab request I had been written for, and I already had an idea of what to expect. Like somehow I already knew. I just saw it written down the paper, and then I was like, I think I know what this is going to come back as. But then I was like, okay, I'm not sure, because it could be anything at this point. So getting to the lab, and I was told to come back Tuesday, I was like, okay, I'm going to be in pain for another 3 days, and it's just killing me. So I decided to just go back to the doctor that had written for me the lab request, so that she can advise me on something else. So I went back to her, and she actually told me to get some medicine as I wait for Tuesday. So I went, took the medicine, and I was like, okay. It was I really can't remember if it was working or not, but then I remember for that weekend and the Monday, I was not like I wasn't um, I can't remember it being like very bad. It was manageable. The pain was manageable, if I can say. So on Tuesday, I went back for the test, and they did the test. I tested positive for H. pylori. So I went back to the doctor to be given further directions on that. And I found a different doctor than the one I had earlier seen. And okay, like I don't know, he just looked so calm and like totally not unbothered. So I was like, okay, then maybe it's not such a big deal. Because the first time I had never heard of H. pylori personally. I think I heard about it from a friend who was like, but she said it takes time for you to get better, and you have to just learn on what you can eat and what you cannot eat, but then it takes some time. So when I went to the doctor with my test results, the doctor was like so calm, and I was like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, because it didn't look like, okay, now this is a matter of life and death. Now you have to do this and this and this and this. It was just like, he actually didn't tell me anything that I should do. Yeah, he didn't tell me anything that I should do. I had to ask him if there was something. Then he just said, okay, yeah. Don't eat beans and sukuma wiki. And I was like, okay, fine, that is manageable. So I just went on my merry way. Okay, and I also got prescribed for the H. pylori kit. I think it's called H. pylori kit. Is it? I think so. I don't remember what was written there. It has a kit somewhere. There's a kit. It's written something kit. I think it's H. pylori kit. I think so. I'm sure. I'm not sure, but it's written something like that. So I was prescribed for that drug. I went to the pharmacy, to the student's clinic pharmacy, to pick the drug, and then it was like this huge box, and then I was like, okay, maybe he's going to open it and give me like the smaller box that is inside. And then he gave me the whole box, and I was like, okay, now that's bad. Because personally, for me, in as much as I fear injections, those many drugs were not for me. Like, I was just like, okay, how am I even supposed to remember to take all these? Like, I was like, okay, that's a lot of medicine. But then it was supposed to be for like, I was given that for 7 days, and then there was another one for 30 days. Yeah. So of course I went back with, okay, I had the one for the 7 days. That's the kit, and the kit has like, you're supposed to take it twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. 3 tablets in the morning, 3 in the evening, for 7 days. The kit has 7 smaller boxes for every day. As soon as I left the clinic, I called my dad immediately because I had told him earlier on I was unwell. And so I just called him to tell him, okay, I've tested positive for H. pylori. It happens that during that time there was a project we were working on in school. We had already done the recording, it was just the shooting. And I remember a friend of mine told me that if you're not feeling very well, just go back home. Like, just go home. You don't have to stay around. Since you already did the recording, you don't really have to stay around for the shooting. But then I was like, no, let me just stay because I already started. Plus, I've already gotten the medicine and all that. Plus, okay, I was told that I was supposed to go back after the 30 days for another test. So I was like, okay, since I already need to do the test after 30 days, let me just stay here for that time. Then after the test, I do the test, then I'll just go home. So of course I stayed around, and I didn't know just what I was signing up for, because the next few days were so stressful. The next few weeks were so stressful for me. But of course I got a lot of help from my friends, and some people, even we were not that close, but then like they were willing to help. And of course I had people praying for me. The doctor didn't give me any warning signs like this is now so serious, like now you need intervention. But then the moment like I told some of my friends of what I was suffering from, because of course some of them knew I was unwell. So I told them what the results were, and most of them like started freaking out. Okay, I don't know if it's freaking, okay, they were not freaking out, but they were freaking me out, because they were like, okay, I was getting now different advices from different people, like, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't do this, don't do... At some point I was just like, okay, now I don't even know what to do, because it seems like I'm not supposed to do anything, that I'm not supposed to eat anything. So like, it was just so stressful. I remember one person told me that I was supposed to have like 2 boxes, and then I was like, okay, did the doctor make a mistake? Because I only had one, the kit, not the other one. Yeah, I like, they said I was supposed to have like 14 for 14 days, like the kit for 14 days for, so that meant I was supposed to have like 2 boxes. Some of my friends started saying, okay, You're not supposed to drink milk. You're not supposed to eat rice. You're not supposed to eat cold food. You're not supposed to eat bananas. You're not supposed to eat oranges. Like, just before I was done with the kit, I went back to the clinic, so that, of course, at this point I was so confused because everyone was telling me everything, like, don't do this, don't eat this, don't do that, don't do this. And I also didn't know what I'm supposed to do, so the more they tell me, the more confused I become, because everyone has a different story. So, of course, I went back to the clinic, and then I found the doctor who I had seen the first time. And of course, she was very friendly and very nice. So she asked me if I asked her if I was supposed to get another box, and she was like, no, 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 it's fine. But then she advised me not to eat there's somewhere we actually eat when we're in school. And it was just like a concern, being that I'm not really sure how the food is prepared and all that. So she was like, okay, I'm not going to tell you to stop eating there, but you might want to reconsider, being that you're not very sure who prepared the food, how the food was prepared and all that. So now that also brought another problem, because now I have to like eat far away from school, which was hectic and expensive. If you know, eating in town is fairly expensive. So remember, I'm not supposed to stay without eating. At the same time, I'm supposed to be like sure of where I eat. At the same time, there are so many things I'm not supposed to eat. So for me, that was just so stressful. I think I've mentioned this earlier, but as I said, there was a project we were working on, and most of the time we were expected to go there in the morning and we'd leave very late. But then I was having trouble sleeping, because before I fall asleep, being that I'm in so much pain, it will take quite a while before I could fall asleep. So you'd find I'd sleep very late, but then I'd still also wake up. I don't know if it was a side effect of the drugs, or I was just overthinking a lot of things. I don't really know. But then even after I fell asleep, I would wake up due to maybe I had a nightmare or something like that. So wake up again and then find it hard to fall asleep again. So waking up early was also very stressful. And then I'd go to where we were doing the project and stay there the whole day in pain, feeling hungry. I don't know if I was feeling hungry, or like it was just, I just don't know what was happening at that time, because I'd be in pain. I would eat, but still after like 1 hour I'd still be in pain. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep on eating, because I'd eat, then I'd feel some relief for a moment. So maybe I thought it was just something to do with food. So I'd just keep on eating. And then, of course, I'd stay there the whole day. We'd stay there the whole day, and I'd be so tired by the evening. And still, I wouldn't be able to sleep because I'm in so much pain. Then I'd fall asleep late and still wake up in the middle of the night because of a nightmare or something. Then find it hard to fall asleep again. Then fall asleep. Then have to wake up early because we had something to do. So it was so stressful. It was so stressful for me. Like, but at some point I was like, maybe I should have just gone back home. And I remember the fact that I was eating all the time, that there were some people who were like making not very nice comments about it. Of course, there were people who were like very nice to me, even they helped me get food or something like that. But then there's just some people who are just different. So some people made some really not nice, not kind comments to me about it, and I was just like, I just have a lot to deal with at the moment. I remember just laughing at some point, because I was like, okay, I think I'm dealing with way too much to actually deal with this right now. So I just let others just slide. Of course, as I said, it was a very stressful moment for me. So there's this one day that I got very sick. Like, I could tell from the morning, I was having headache. I was feeling like, no, like, in as much as I had been in a lot of pain and under a lot of stress. That day just felt so weird. Like I didn't even have appetite to eat totally on that day, because I remember I was like, okay, in as much as I need to eat, I didn't feel like eating. So I was just forcing myself with food, and I was like, okay, something is totally wrong. So of course I went to have a rest, because I thought, okay, maybe I'm just tired or something like that. I went to have a rest. I was having some headache. I think a friend of mine gave me some painkillers. I could tell something was definitely wrong, but then a lot had been wrong before, so I was like, okay, maybe it's just it's just something. I don't know what it is, but it could be just related to what was happening. So of course I just went to sleep, being that I already have medicine and all that. I just took my medicine and went to bed. I actually went to bed early that day, but I couldn't fall asleep. Literally, I was I was up the whole night because I was so sick. I was vomiting. I really thought I was going to die, because at that point I was feeling dehydrated. I was so freaked out, because I was like, okay, what's happening now? Like, what's the problem? Because in as much as I had been sick for quite a while by then, it was like, okay, something is now totally wrong. So the next morning, of course, I was so weak because everything that had happened during the night, and I was still not feeling any better. So I went back to the clinic. For someone who is so scared of injections, that day I was given 3 injections. And of course and then I tested positive for malaria, so I was added more drugs. So like on top of the ones I already have, I now had some more medicine to take, and I was just like, I was so tired by that point. So of course I took my malaria medicine, and I got relatively better. And of course I continued taking my medicine and all that stuff, and after 30 days I went back for testing, and I got there. And on that day, I found a different technician, like lab technician, and they were like, "You are late. Like you should come in the morning." So I was sent back home to come in the morning. So the next day, I went in the morning, and I was told to go for my results the next day. So when I went back the next day, I was negative for H. pylori, and I was like, okay, let's just thank God, because that was a whole lot for me to handle, being that I really didn't know. Oh, I forgot to mention, there's this time, after getting very many different advices from very many different people, I had decided to like Google and find out for myself what H. pylori is all about. And man, there's a lot of information there that just freaked me out. I don't know how true or whatever, but then there was so much there, and I just it just became so overwhelming. So I just decided to go to the clinic to get advice from a doctor that I can see and can tell me this, it's like this and like this, because at this point I was just so tired of everything. I hope I haven't forgotten anything, but if I have, maybe I'll have an update. I'm not sure I'll have an update video, but yeah, an updated video. I'm not sure I'll do that, but for now, if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps my channel. And most importantly, make sure you turn on your post notification, because I'm trying to find a schedule, but it's still not very established. But just so that you're notified every time I post, make sure you turn on your post notification. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile for no reason and give others a reason to smile. Bye.